What's good, y'all? Everybody talks about how much money you can make in real estate, but to no one ever really tells you guys about how you can actually lose money as well. And trust me, I've seen people lose thousands of dollars, me, myself included, right, because of these mistakes. And today we're going to break down 3 different ways people actually lose money in real estate, how you can actually potentially avoid this as well. Just by all you got to do is do your research ahead of time, right, and strategically plan about how you want to move. All right, real estate is one of the greatest wealth building assets and tools that's ever been created, right? But let's be honest, man. Real estate is not magic money, okay? It's not a machine. Just because you buy a property doesn't mean you're gonna automatically print money from it, okay? In fact, some people buy a property and end up creating financial stress for themselves instead of creating financial freedom, right? So today I wanna dive deep. I wanna help you guys avoid those same mistakes. Just 3 common mistakes that people make, right? So that way, when you actually go embark on your journey doing real estate, you won't make these same mistakes as well, right? So first thing first, man, you guys know it, right? Like, subscribe to the channel if you like videos like this towards some sense like investing. And we just want you guys to kind of follow and get these tips, all right? Because everybody in this economy, as you guys can see, everybody need an asset. You need an exit strategy or something else that's generating you passive income outside of your job, wherever you're working at, just so that you can stay afloat. Okay, that's just what the reality of the economy is right now. So make sure you tap in with us so we can help you guys strategize for the future, so you start generating some more extra passive cash flow. Okay. But first thing I want to talk about when it comes to some mistakes that you guys are making in real estate, right, is number one, you're buying in a bad city, even if it's a good property. Okay, so the property price may be really, really good in your price point, right? It's affordable. You're like, oh man, I got enough for this. I can make a down payment on this, right? But the city is terrible, right? You didn't research the crime rates. You didn't research the school districts. You didn't research, any of the stuff that that makes a neighborhood worth buying in, right? There's not a lot of people. Now if you got a house and it's the only house that can potentially put a tenant in it, and the rest of them are abandoned around there, it's not a good look, all right? You're buying in a bad neighborhood, okay? So you want to make sure you're actually investigating and looking and strategizing which neighborhoods you're going to buy in, okay? You want to buy the worst house in the best neighborhood, okay? But things that make a neighborhood great is what I just talked about. You want to look at the school district. You want to look at the crime rate. You want to see how close it is to certain amenities, right? Does it has like train or buses going through, transportation going through? People need to get to their jobs, right? Walking distance from different amenities, right? Those things are what makes a neighborhood good, right? Are people actively developing that area? Are they building up different stores or different warehouses or other things inside the neighborhood? If they're building, actively developing inside that neighborhood, then it's a good buy. Okay, so what makes a neighborhood good? Okay, a neighborhood is good by seeing people actually invest money into it. All right. How many times I've heard people say, man, this thing, like, I'm from Atlanta. So people are like, man, no one used to invest down in Peachtree. No one used to invest in these other areas. Like, it used to be considered a hood. But now it's like prime real estate, right? And it's because the only thing that makes that happen is that actual investors, people who have money, are not targeting that particular area to develop in. They're building different new things in that area. They're creating jobs in that area. Right, they're building a high scale. They're making things look more manicured, so to speak. Right, there's landscaping is being done. Neighborhoods are being nice and built up. Right, those things got to happen for it to be attractive. How many times you heard people like they're working in the area, but they don't live in the area? Like, I live in the hood, but I'm working in the suburbs, right? Because I'm trying to take that income and take it back to where I'm from, where it's cheaper, so that I can, you know what I mean? So if you want to buy a place early to get a good neighborhood, you want to look for those areas that are actively building that, right? They're still pretty cheap, right? Because not like it used to be a rural area, something like that, or it just wasn't desirable. But now a lot of people have flooded money into that area because they want to build up certain things in that area, and by them doing that, that's a signal for you to start investing in that area as well, because a lot of money get put in that area. Okay, so hope that makes sense to you guys. You want to go where the money's going, all right? You want to get there slightly before, but if you can get there by looking at the telltale signs of what's happening around it, that lets you know it's a good area to invest in too. All right, so most beginner investors, they focus on the house, but smart investors, they focus on the market. Okay, so you can have the nicest property in the wrong area and still lose money. A lot of people buy because they want to buy houses for cheap. But just because you buy cheap don't mean it's going to be, the population is growing. Like, for me, one of the things I'm looking at when it comes to population, I need to have at least 45,000 people in that city, in that vicinity. If it's not 45,000 people in there, it's going to be hard for you to find a tenant. Okay, you know what I mean? If the population is like 100,000, 25,000, it's gonna be hard for you to find a tenant. So you need to, at least my ballpark has always been at least 45,000 people in that area. Okay, are the population growing? Right, are jobs moving in that area? Are businesses investing in that area? Are rents increasing? Right. Those are telltale signs. You want to look for the telltale signs, right? A cheap property and the declining market can be a financial trap. The wealthy don't just buy real estate; they buy growth. The market makes you move money along with the way the property goes. Okay, so you just want to invest smartly, right, and wisely. Okay, I'm big on cash flow. So if you're not getting at least $500 from a property onto cash flow, then it's not a good buy. So just because you buy in a very nice house already renovated in a very nice neighborhood, but then the rent don't support, you know what I'm saying? Like if the mortgage is higher than what the rent is going for in the area, you set yourself backwards. Okay, so you want to analyze all those different things, those different topics before you start actually moving for the purchase of a property. All right, that's number one. Number two, losing money due to vacancy, meaning there's not enough population, right? Which we just kind of hit on, right? If you don't have at least 45,000 people, you're not gonna have enough tenants to kind of filter through to get into your property that you have. So you don't want to buy in the area that don't have a lot of people there. Okay, you want to make sure that you got enough people in that area that can actually not only be enough people that can get to the rent that you can rent to. You got to have a large portion of them, but also is the income they're making there, right? If it's only minimum wage jobs in that area, then you're gonna be hard. It's gonna be hard to find a tenant. You got a lot to choose from, but can they afford the rent that you're trying to get it for? You know, so make sure you take that into consideration, right? If there are high-end jobs in that area as well, that's paying people more so they can afford the rent that you're trying to grab. Because otherwise you're gonna end up, lowering your price points as far as the rent goes. Your house could be stagnant. The last thing you want to do is for your house to be sitting on the market for months at a time. You still got to pay that note, but you don't got no income coming in. All right, so that's huge. And those are typically the first 3 months, 6 months is what you're looking to do. It's called stabilizing your property. You want to stabilize your property as soon as possible. Me, what I like to do is as soon as my house is getting developed, it's getting renovated, I'm already marketing on Facebook or whatever in that particular area, that particular city, seeing who's looking for a property, who's looking for this, who's looking for that, because that lets me know what my demand is before my property even hit the market. So I already got numbers I can call. Hey, I saw you was looking for da-da-da. I have da-da available. Here's the pictures. Gonna take a look at it. So you just you want to market ahead of time so you got your customers ready for you. All right, this is the silent killer no one talks about. Everybody calculates rent. Nobody calculates the vacancy rate, right? So let's say your property rents for about $2,000 a month. Sounds great. But if your property sits empty for 3 months, then you just lost out 6 bands, all right? So the mortgage doesn't stop. You got to keep paying that. You got to keep paying your taxes. Got to keep paying your insurance, right? And vacancy is one of the biggest wealth killers in real estate. That's why the smart investors don't just buy houses. They buy properties for people actually want to live in. Okay, you want to it's actually set up so that people want to go in there. Like how many times you seen cookie cutter homes, right? You want to make sure you stage the property so that it's more homey, it's more welcoming to people, and they're like, I can see myself living this type of place, right? So that's what you want to have for people ahead of time. Now the last thing that I want to hit on today is having the wrong tenant. Woo! Well, that's crazy, right? Especially if you didn't do your research and you invest in an area like, California, and they got squatter laws letting people squat for over a year. So you know what I mean? So you can't even collect rent for over a year if you didn't screen them properly, right? So that's the crazy part. But here's a couple of ways that you can actually filter them out, right? Now this one thing alone can wipe away profits really, really fast. A lot of people are so excited to fill a property that they skip over proper screening, right? And which is the big mistake. All right, one bad tenant can create problems. You can miss you can miss rent payments. You can get damage to your property. Evictions can happen. Legal costs can happen, and months of lost income. Right? You don't want none of that. Okay. I've seen investors lose more money from one bad tenant from a market downturn. The goal isn't about filling property quickly. The goal is having a good tenants inside your asset so that you have less of a liability with that property. Okay. So the biggest way to kind of screen those people is by one, credit score. If you pay your credit score, if you paying your regular bills, your financial spreadsheet, which is what a credit score is, if you're doing those on time, you got 660, 700 plus credit score, right? Then you're pretty savvy. You don't want to let your score drop. So you're pretty savvy with paying your bills. That's how it's perceived, right? right? And so those are the type of tenants you want in your property, right? You want people with high credit scores to be inside your property because that means they take care of their own responsibilities. They can take care of their own responsibilities, and they'll take care of their rent payment that your house is going to be with them as well. So you want those type of things to kind of do that when it comes to filtering out your people. You want to look at who who will vouch for you. And if I'm vouching for you, it gotta be I need to be your boss who's vouching for you, a coworker. I don't need a friend, I need a coworker. You know what I'm saying? I need your supervisor. That's who gotta vouch for you, right? And we're gonna check if the job is legit. We're gonna check and make sure you're working there. You know what I'm saying? The supervisor, is this an actual supervisor? What's their name? You know what I'm saying? We gotta figure that out because we can't have. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can cut corners with filtering out a tenant just because you're impatient and you want to get somebody that's gonna pay that money, and you don't want the wrong person in there. So I typically look for properties in areas that are landlord friendly. Meaning, if we need to get this person evicted, we get it done in a month, not a month, within a week or 2 weeks max. Right? If you can't evict somebody within a couple of weeks, then you don't need to be investing to rent a property in that area. That's my personal opinion. All right. Another good thing that you can do if you still want to invest in the area, even if it's in it could be San Diego, right? That's super expensive, right? And they got squatter laws for whatever. But if it's a high income type of property, right? So if you got a property that's like a $500,000 property or $700,000 property, they got a high rent. The rent is higher than the mortgage, and it's in a prestigious area, then that's okay because it's a prestigious area. The rent is going to be high. People can't afford that unless they take care of their bills. You know what I'm saying? So now it's okay to take that hit on the squatting laws type of deal of a state, because if you're doing luxury rentals, then luxury rentals people tend to be on point with their own circumstances. All right, so that's how you filter out your tenants. You just gotta see what type of crowd you're going for. All right, if you're going for affordability, then you gotta make sure you screen extremely well, because just because it's extremely affordable don't mean that all the tenants are gonna take care of your property the way you would take care of your own property. Okay, actually, no one does that. Most people if no one's gonna take care of that unless it's an owner. All right, now I'm gonna leave you with the last little tidbit, man. If you are an owner and you're trying to get out of it, you want to extract it out of your property, or if you're just renting it really well, you can do what they call owner finance. You go owner finance your property for someone else, right? And that lets you this. You can get a huge down payment, 10% of what the house is worth, right? At the minimum, you can negotiate even higher than that if you want to, right? But if they don't pay, guess what? Now you get that 15 or that 10 or 15% or whatever you negotiated is yours to keep, and you can kick them out. Right? If they don't do that end of the bargain. So now you're not on the hook for potential rent loss because you got a big lump sum of it at the beginning. And now it's up to them to hold on to their own standard that they agreed to in the contract. If they don't do it, then boom, it's yours again. You get to take it back. And then now you can do it again with another person. Right? So that's another way that you can kind of maneuver things to kind of secure yourself when it comes to receiving a monthly stipend or a monthly income on a property, right? So many different ways you can house hack these things. And we here at Simplex Investing, we're here to inform you guys, educate you guys on those different ways, right? So like I said, definitely like, subscribe. If you like more videos like this, tap in, guys. We got strategies for days for you guys to help you with your real estate investing needs. Talk to you soon.